Yo, yo, yo. Hey guys, welcome back to another amazing edition of the Best Practices Show. Have you ever thought to yourself, man, I need more chemistry in my ops, specifically at the chair? Well, today we have an amazing opportunity for you to improve your chemistry with one of our coaches. Her name is Courtney Dalton, and she takes us through the dynamic duo in dentistry. 3 keys to chairside chemistry. Please listen to this. I hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll see you soon. Hey guys, welcome back to the Best Practices Show podcast. Our goal here is to give you great information, help you create a great practice and a great life. And we're going to do exactly that with one of the best coaches of all time. Her name is Courtney Dalton, and she's amazing. And we're going to be talking about chairside chemistry. You know how important this is. If you don't have it, everyone can feel it, and you're miserable. So we're going to give you 3 keys to create better chairside chemistry, the dynamic duo in dentistry. Courtney, welcome back. I always appreciate you.
Thanks. That was a great intro, Kirk. Can you do that every time I come into a room? I love it.
You know, I don't do many things well, so I'm just kind of enjoying this.
That was really good. I'll take it.
You know, it's really fun. We don't have a network either, so if we screw this up, no one cares, and we can just edit it all out later. So this is always, so we're so glad you guys are listening to the podcast. But this is serious business for us. Now, for those of you that don't know, we're practice coaches, so we spend all of our days helping great practices become even greater. And one of the challenges is chairside chemistry. So we're going to give you 3 keys to create better chairside chemistry. Because I'm just going to say this. If you don't have chemistry with somebody else, everyone can feel it. They can feel it. They can see it. And you can cut it with a knife. So, Courtney, let's start here. Why is chairside chemistry so important in a dental office?
I think the biggest reason, it makes the patient experience so much better. It just exponentially better. And your day. If you can work really efficiently with the person sitting next to you, the patient feels it. They can feel that seamless interaction where you anticipate what the other person needs and you hand it to them perfectly. And you just know as the doctor walking into that room that you're going to knock it out of the park because your assistant knows exactly what you need to create the best experience possible for each other and for that patient.
Yeah. So let's talk to the naysayers already. I mean, our job is to present both sides. Like, you don't understand. I can't even find an assistant, blah, 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 blah. Now, I get that. That's harder than ever. But when you do find the right one, now you have to create the right elements so that they can grow and develop alongside with you. Now, every role is important in a dental office, but I'll just say this about assistants. Assistants are kind of the unsung heroes in dentistry. We don't really talk about them a lot, but they add so much value. And if you're an assistant listening, you add tremendous value. They can make a dentist super happy, super fast, and they can make things wildly predictable in the back. And you as a dentist, if you're listening, you know how much you need predictability. When you have a lot of predictability, those are your favorite days. No predictability, least favorite days. Mm-hmm. So what do you think, Courtney?
I agree. It's all about workflow efficiency. It's all about anticipating what's coming, about trust, right? That a huge layer of it is trusting your assistant and the assistant trusting you so that you can move forward and move together really, really well. I love what you said, Kirk, predictability. It's what we all want. It's what makes our days easy to go into.
Oh, yeah. And if your brain is as small as mine is, it can't multitask. And you know how your energy is, you're trying to put energy into people and dentistry and thinking. And you can't think about all these things that are happening around you. There's a lot of processes happening. And so when you get this chemistry right, you can see that the willingness And the all-in nature of a great assistant just makes your life better in 2 seconds. It keeps you on the rails, keeps you from forgetting the patient's name and what you're up to. So on both ends, like we're going to talk about the processes, how to do this and the steps. But at the end of the day, it really is increased job satisfaction for both you, the doctor, and you, the team member. Don't you think?
Yes, absolutely. If you know that you can depend on each other, you're going to be happy going into work. As coaches, we always say you spend so much time with the people that you work with. You want to make that a great cultural environment because the work people, they're your family. They're a different extension of your family. So if you can be happy and be excited about going to work, that next layer is because you trust your team, you trust your doctor, you have that extra, padding to catch you on those rough days. It's better for your own mental health, and really it's better for the patient. Being predictable, being efficient, maximizing your time together, it's all about a great patient experience.
100%. So what's the first key to creating better chairside chemistry?
It starts off at the beginning of your day. It's your morning huddle, hands down. It's that time where we pause to look at the day. We're not talking about each other. We're looking at the patients ahead of us. Where are we going? What do they need? Where are our opportunities? The best teams, and we have pretty much all the teams that we work with, are the best teams, and they have a huddle that starts their day.
Yeah, absolutely. We always say here internally at Act Dental, the huddle is for patient care and the weekly team meeting is for practice care. So it's good to be the chief repeating officer in your practice and help everybody understand the huddle's not about money. It's not about how my life can be better. Yes, we're going to talk about how those things happen, but you got to be all in as a dentist and have your head and your heart there first. Because when you get everybody aligned and here's a little hint why the huddle's so important. No one knows what you're thinking. And even if we did know what you're thinking, I don't know that we would want to know what you're thinking. But at the huddle, what you can do is you can get some of the basic elements about improving the flow and anticipating each other's moves and words and actions and really talking about the motivation or the needs of the patients. Sometimes, a patient will tell you something that's really important in their lives. They'll mention it to the admin team member and it gets passed along in the huddle, and the chairside assistant can remind you because the appointment's later in the day. Listen, remember what she said? Let's pay attention to that. And you'll think, oh my goodness, thank you so much. Mm-hmm. And so we always find that the huddle prepares people better for the day. What else is important about this first step?
It's about what you're bringing to the huddle. So we're identifying who's coming and what do they need, but we also want to keep, just like you said, any personal information. Did they any little touches, anything that helps you to differentiate your practice from anybody else? Because I remembered that your son just went to college, or you went on a vacation, or you're having, a scary procedure done, or you were going through something, whatever you shared, we're going to bring that back up because it's a touch point. It's really important for connection. If we know your disc style, we're going to share that information during huddle. If you saw a specialist, if we are waiting on something from a lab, we're going over today's treatment. We're looking at outstanding treatment, things that we've been talking about that we want to make sure we nail during this visit. Those are things that we want to make sure that we're bringing up, not just to our leader, but to the rest of the team who might have the opportunity to have a touch point with that patient. So we're all on the same page and we're all aligned.
For sure. For sure. And then, the thing that always comes up in huddle is a chart audit. Courtney, I don't want to do that. Or is that really important? Or that's just too much work. What do you think?
It's everything. It's all the information that you need to bring with you. It is work. It is to an extent going to take a little bit of time, but the more you do it and remember and repeat what it is that you're looking for, then you get into the habit of always bringing that same information. personal preference, disc style, today's treatment, outstanding treatment, family members that we need to reschedule, all of these things where it feels overwhelming, especially if you're maybe a team that hasn't done this before or hasn't done it in a very structured way. But once you build the structure and then repeat it, it's all the framework that you need for going back to predictability. We just
Yeah.
want to make sure that you know what's coming.
Yeah. And what you're really doing is you're talking about a system for your huddle in
Mhm.
which nobody's just kind of winging it. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're like, oh, I don't know, this huddle thing. You guys have been talking about this huddle thing forever. Here's my challenge to you if you're listening to the podcast. I hope your huddle is so good that you would want to invite me and Andy, our video producer, to come in and film it. Well, actually, we don't use the word film anymore. Take a video of it. You know what I mean? And show it to the world. Because when you get that good at it, I promise you, people feel connected. I promise you, your days are working well. Most of the time, a huddle doesn't work well because the dentist devalues it or hasn't really been trained or developed on how to run a huddle. Don't you think, Courtney?
Yes, absolutely. Once you know what you're doing and you can repeat it, now it's just part of the routine. And all of a sudden, those huddles that seem to go on and on and on, we can nail it in 7 minutes. No
Yeah.
matter how many providers we have, no matter how many emergencies get thrown in, we can nail it in a more efficient amount of time because we have the system that supports what we're doing.
100%. And so when you're surrounded by good people and you've created that and you develop them and you run a great huddle, you as a leader can just show up. Here at our huddles, I love it because I don't talk very much. Somebody hands me a piece of paper, tells me what's going on, and leads the charge. And you've always dreamed of a day where your team members are more locked in on the day than you are. So that's your challenge. And when you start to do that, you really get aligned. You start to anticipate what everybody else needs on the team, and that becomes a big piece of it. So I love that. So, Courtney, what's
Absolutely.
the second key to creating better chairside chemistry?
Checklists. We want
What?
to be predictable. We want to know exactly what we need to have out for every appointment. The worst thing that you can do is have to get up several times from an appointment. It takes time. It takes materials if you're taking your gloves on and off, and it takes that patient experience, and you're just turning the dial down because it looks like we're not prepared. Now, things happen. We have to change things on the fly, and that's okay. But if we can anticipate ahead of time all the things that our doctors will need for whatever the procedure that we talked about at Huddle will be, and we have it easily accessible, we're right back into workflow efficiency and being predictable. So you have to have your checklist ready.
Yeah. And checklists, I think you should have a checklist for everything. I mean, you don't have to start there, but you can certainly start with the checklist because here's the thing. You can't remember every process. It's really impossible to remember every step and every detail in creating that consistency that you need. And so checklists free up a lot of brain space. When I have a checklist, we've just got to check the box. And now I can give my best energy to things that matter most, which is the patient and my team members around us. And you know how this works. The better you get, the more you need to be organized, thus needing a great checklist. So,
Yes.
talk a little bit more about why checklists are so important in the practices we coach.
And if you even think about it from the perspective of, well, I've had this team for forever, they know what I need. Well, that's great. But Kirk, we always say E minus R, right? Expectation minus reality. If you go through the process of writing down what you need for a resin, a crown, an extraction, an implant, whatever the procedure is that you're doing, you're creating and you are setting a very crystal clear expectation for your existing team members and for any new ones that you might acquire along the way. If people retire, if you free up their futures, whatever might happen, we want to have those checklists or those systems in place so that our current existing team and our future team have a really easy, simplified way of understanding what's expected of them.
Yeah. So we could go on and on about this one forever. Here's the cool thing about creating a system or a checklist. Every time you create one, you save thousands and thousands of hours in the future just by creating one. The second thing, again, as you improve, which I hope you are improving, the checklist is going to change. There'll be new materials, there'll be new steps. And with you anchoring into a document like a checklist, you can all be on the same page. No pun intended, but it's a page that you're on when you do that. The last thing I'll say is this, is that you're going to get frustrated because things aren't moving as fast as you would like. That's just who you are as a dentist. And you can't get mad at people. When things don't work well, you can go, that didn't work so well. So instead of getting upset at someone, you can go back to the checklist and say, okay, that didn't work well. So what about the checklist didn't work, wasn't clear enough, or what do we need to change? And if you do that over time, consistently, you'll see people will trust you more and more, and your practice will run better every single month. Now, you also like to have them laminated, don't you?
Yes.
Why?
As part of my C style, I love a checklist, but I love when it's super organized and clean. So laminating the checklist, now you can have it out next to you because you'll be able to wipe it off and to sterilize it or decontaminate it after your procedure. You can have a dry erase marker right next to it. Got it. And you're just making your notes as you're going. You can even write procedure notes if you needed to. If you're an office that really wants to be paper-free, laminating your checklist is a great idea. Make your notes on the lamination, and then at the end of the appointment, get your notes in, wipe it off, and start again. It is another layer of making what you're doing really consistent, no matter if you're in op 4, op 7, up wherever you might land. It's the same checklist, and we're just going to either bring it with us or have a few copies. You could even laminate several copies of different procedures and put them on a ring together and have them in each operatory. Again, predictability. Not only do we not want to be reaching for extra gauze or a different tool, we want to have all the lists in each operatory so that we're not looking for those as well.
Yeah. Can you imagine going in a dental office that didn't have any systems or checklists? How frightening that would be if you're a great team member. Here's the truth about the state of the world that we're in when it comes to team members. 50% of retention has to do with onboarding. So let's say you do find a great chairside assistant and there's no systems in place and they're trying to figure things out. That sounds like a miserable existence. But what if you actually walked into an office like Courtney's describing, where everything's a checklist? It's all on rings. It's check 1, check 2, check. Wow, this place is pretty organized. I can go to work and be myself. I don't have to think too much. Now, I don't want to go off on too many tangents, but one of the biggest topics in all of dentistry, actually the world, is called burnout. Burnout happens for me most when I have too much on my plate. I'm thinking about too much. The benefits to checklists and improving chairside chemistry are so many. Now I can stay in tune with what you want. I can actually ask you about the checklist if I'm a new chairside assistant and say, okay, is this still valid? I think there's a better way we could do this. We should probably add a step, or we could take this step away. Now you're grounded into a document. And think about this. You might have 4 team members, but then you might have 10. And then there might be a day where you have 16 team members. And that's when you start to lose your mind because you want everybody to be on the same page. Checklists keep the chemistry and the alignment there. So lean into them. If they're not working, you got to get them working.
Absolutely. Can I say one more thing about that?
Please, you can say as many things as you want.
When earlier you were talking about everyone is just feeling this hiring crunch right now, right? All of our practices, we're looking for someone. Maybe we're looking for a few someones. It is amazing when you find a great core values fit, when you find that person who just fits culturally, they get where you're going, they want to go with you, they're ready to jump right in. Maybe this person doesn't have assisting experience, but they're coachable. They have the capacity to want to learn more. Your systems and your checklists really make it easy for that new person to lean into them so that they can absorb as much as possible without having that foundation that maybe you really would have preferred. So having the checklist is just another way to set expectations really clearly for the new team member that you have to help them succeed and help them become one of the best assistants you've ever trained.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we could go on and on about this one, but the other downside, there's really only one downside of being a dentist if you own your own practice, is that you really don't have entrepreneurial time. What I mean by that is you have to be working with patients consistently most days when you go in. You can't really take 3 days off and go, okay, let's work on improving patient processes. Your team members need your guidance. They need your leadership. And most of your days are compacted with patient conversations. And so by having a checklist, you can slowly give them the support that they need, the practice needs, and you need. And you don't have the extra hours. You also don't have the extra energy. I get it. But checklists create better chemistry. I love it. Love it, love it, love it.
Absolutely.
What's the third key to better chairside chemistry?
This one's my favorite and probably the most important. It's the handoff. It's that exchange of information between you as the assistant and the doctor. And in the way that you do it, you have to loop the patient in with you. So when your doctor enters the room, you're going to tell them exactly the conversation that you've already had with the patient. Catch the doctor up to speed. If you've gotten the patient ready, let the doctor know where you are or whatever information has been exchanged already so that the doctor can come in and start that conversation with the patient without having to ask the same questions that you already did. A really flawless handoff is so important.
Yeah, I agree. This is one of my favorite. And in 30 years of doing this, please, I'm a very positive person, but most handoffs that I've witnessed are very underwhelming. I see so many of them, even great practices, where the team member is talking to the dentist behind the patient's head. Here's what Sally said. I'm like, oh my gosh, patient can't see either one of you. You're looking at the computer and she or he is talking to you while you're looking at the computer. No, get out in front of the patient and talk to them face to face. And I like it. I like the whole idea. We've talked about it before of the patient in every handoff seeing 4 eyes, 2 eyes there and 2 eyes there. It's the person who's giving the information to the next team member in front of the patient. And that becomes a valuable exchange. And we've all had these experiences where you go to your MD and you pour your heart out to the nurse that comes into the room and takes your blood pressure. And she asks you questions like a robot. So why are you here? Why are you doing it? And then you tell the nurse everything. And then the doctor comes in and asks you the same questions. You're like, oh my gosh, I got to get out of here.
It's annoying. It's frustrating.
Annoying. And this is one of the greatest opportunities you have to differentiate yourself from every other dental experience they have and create significant value for the relationship. So I don't think you can work on this enough. Don't you think?
No, I agree. And when you can, now sometimes the doctor will walk into the room and the patient's already laying back and that's okay. There's situations where that's going to happen. But when you can be knee to knee, heart to heart, eye to eye and have those conversations, especially if you're, not even in an appointment where the patient's already there for treatment, when you're discussing treatment or discussing needs, don't be behind the patient. Be in front of the patient, include the patient. Don't talk at them, talk to them. There are ways to make the patient feel included and really bring them in. And then there are ways to exclude them and give them a reason to find a different practice. So don't do the latter.
Yeah. And when you get really good at this and you do find the right team member that's connecting with the patient, you're going to find a lot of times that the patient's going to share a lot more with the team member just because they're starting to trust the team member. Now, that's a valuable thing that happens. And you have to be tactful about how you share that information, but it becomes hugely valuable to how you create this practice long-term. Let me remind you, the only thing that really keeps your practice growing long-term, predictably, it's called trust. Your team members trust you, your patients trust you, so that the world changes and there's a new DSO or monster practice that moves across the street and people are still coming to you, it's because they trust you. They like the people that they work with. They can feel it. So I can't say enough about this handoff. And it's not just the clinical handoff, it's
No.
the administrative handoff. And so I think if you're struggling for a great team meeting, this is a great one to work on, is how do we improve our handoffs? And if you really struggle, just get a great coach like Courtney.
Yeah.
She'll tear your handoff up and rebuild it in a way that you're like, wow, that's really good. So
But
anything
that's
else?
great. I
Yeah.
mean, how many times do we have to hear something before we really understand it? So think of all the opportunities that you have chairside to have that handoff experience happen, right? Doctor comes into a room, we're exchanging information. Before the doctor leaves, we're exchanging information together. Now I'm the assistant. I'm going to walk the patient up to the front. And I, again, am going to exchange information with my amazing administrative team. And they're going to repeat it back to the patient. That's at least 4 times that the patient is hearing all of the same things. So it's really strengthening our value and their trust in us. And it's creating this bond where they know that they can tell us something and it's heard and it's remembered and it's repeated. And the doctor doesn't have to ask all of those questions because he or she has a really amazing team that knows how to do that really well. We want to create a great handoff several times during the appointment because we have the opportunity to.
Yeah. And I could go on and on and on. These keys are so important because I'll lead you to what happens in every dental practice, every single day, in almost every op. You as a dentist come in and you do a magnificent job of connecting with the patient, talking about their, oral health and where we might need to go next. And then they get up and they walk out of the room. And what does the patient do almost every time? They look right at the team member that's right there. Now, I call that the moment of truth. If you have created a lot of chairside chemistry and you're aligned and you run a great huddle and you've got great checklists in place and you're doing a great handoff, an amazing assistant will look right back at the patient and say, what's your question? And the patient will go, I don't know. Do I really need to do this? And the assistant will go, absolutely. You know what I mean? This is a great practice. We are committed to you. And that is a great dentist, but even a better human being. And I'm telling you, you're in the right place. And that is a powerful moment. If the assistant isn't aligned and there's no chemistry, the assistant looks right at the floor when the patient looks at them and says, and the patient might even say this is a lot of money. And the assistant, when they're not aligned and they don't have the chemistry with you, they can go, yeah, it is. It's totally aligned. I don't know. And it just doesn't create a lot of trust or a lot of confidence in this whole process. So again, the benefits are many to being aligned with a great chairside assistant and creating that chemistry, because you're going to find when you start to do it, a great chairside assistant is going to go farther than you ever dreamed for them. They're going to say things that you're going to go, I heard that. That was so awesome. Thank you so much. And they're going to say, I believe in you. Let's go. So it's powerful. What else would you say about these 3 components?
Huddle, checklist, and your handoff. Put your effort into these 3 keys. They are so important. And pour your effort into your assistant. They want to make your day easier. They want to know your expectations. They want to know what you want from them. Pour the effort in and watch them grow and watch how much better your days get. It's really a very simple formula. Work on these 3 factors of your day and things will get better.
Absolutely. And sometimes people feel overwhelmed when my practice has so many needs. Stay focused on improving your team and your chemistry with your team, and you'll find they can take care of a lot of this without having you to be there. So this is so great. Courtney, thank you so much for being on.
Thanks,
this is
Kirk.
awesome stuff. And, if you're really struggling with this, a couple of things, I'll just say this. Share these podcasts with your team members. So in this podcast, whether you're the doctor, the assistant, or admin team members, I think one of the things that you can do is just say, hey, listen to this podcast. We do it all the time. Heard a great podcast. I'll share it with you. It's great stuff to start the conversation between you and another team member. And if your chemistry's off, we're here to help you. So raise your hand. We can help you every step of the way, even if it's simple stuff. And if the chemistry's really off in your practice, or you just want it to be better, You can join us for the To the Top Study Club. The session that we're having during the summer is going to be about cultivating confidence and leadership, how you can create healthy leaders and a happy team. It's going to be an amazing opportunity. Now, it's our doctors only study club. We have 2 groups of 40 plus that are coming, and we always have a seat for somebody who's interested in making a better practice and better life. And you can come for a goal. We'll give you a golden ticket. We believe in it so much, you can come for free. And if you don't like it, just enjoy the information and we'll high five each other. Now, I know that won't happen, but you're always welcome to come. And you can always contact Gina on our team. Her name is Gina, and that's her email address, gina@ActDental. So we're here to help you every step of the way, and hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. So Courtney, thank you again for being on. Stick around while we say goodbye to everybody else, but thank you guys for listening to the Best Practices Show. If you enjoyed today, do us a favor, hit the share button, keep sending us suggestions for things you guys want to see. We're going to keep bringing it so you can create a better practice and a better life. So until you hear from us next time, or you see us next time, keep watching or keep listening to the Best Practices Show. You guys enjoy your day.